The rain was relentless that night. Cold, sharp drops sliced through the darkness like needles, as if the sky itself was weeping. A lonely figure sat huddled beneath a rusted metal bench outside a deserted park. Her tiny frame shivered with each gust of wind. Her fur, once white, was now a matted gray, soaked to the bone. But it was her eyes that told the story. Wide, glassy, filled with a haunting silence. Those eyes had seen too much. Abandonment, fear, hunger, pain. And still, somewhere in the depth of that sadness, there was something more. A flicker of hope. This is her story. We first spotted her as we were driving home from a long day of rescues. The headlights barely caught the small shape curled up by the curb. At first, we thought it might be a pile of trash. But something made us stop. "Wait, go back," I said. My friend slowed the car, reversing gently as I squinted through the rain. There she was. A tiny dog, maybe no older than a year, trembling under the bench. She didn't run. She didn't bark. She didn't move. I opened the door slowly and stepped into the downpour. "Hey there, sweet girl," I called softly, crouching down. No response. Just those eyes staring right through me, like she wasn't sure if I was real, or just another shadow passing by. I inched closer, heart pounding. She flinched slightly, but didn't back away. Her ribs showed under her drenched coat. Her paw was twisted unnaturally, likely broken, and her left ear, half torn. I took off my jacket, slowly reaching toward her. "It's okay. You're safe now." Still silence. But she didn't resist as I wrapped her gently and lifted her into my arms. She was as light as a feather, her body limp from exhaustion. Back in the car, we cranked the heat and wrapped her in a dry towel. For the first few minutes, she didn't move, just stared ahead. No whimper, no growl, just silence. We named her Mira. It means miracle. At the vet, Mira's condition hit us harder than expected. Malnourished, dehydrated, multiple untreated injuries. Infection had already set in around her paw. They said she might not make it through the night. "She's been out there too long," the vet said, shaking her head. "Her body is shutting down." I looked at Mira lying motionless on the table. The smallest rise and fall of her chest the only sign she was still fighting. "She's not done," I whispered. "She's still here. Don't give up on her." And so the fight began. Every hour that night, we checked on her. We stayed by her side, whispered to her, gave her warmth, gave her presence. Not once did those eyes close fully. They just watched, alert in a way that seemed impossible given her condition. By morning, there was a slight change. A faint twitch of her tail. A subtle movement of her ears when we called her name. Mira was choosing to stay. Recovery was slow. The paw required surgery. Her infections needed aggressive treatment. She couldn't stand on her own for the first week. But even then, there was something different about her. She didn't bark or whine. She simply watched intensely, like she was trying to understand where she was, who we were, why anyone would care. One evening, about 10 days into her recovery, something unforgettable happened. I was sitting beside her kennel, reading quietly. Mira had been lying in the corner as usual, quiet and still. But this time she got up, slowly, and walked over to the edge of the crate. She pressed her head gently against the bars. I looked up, startled. "Mira." She looked up at me, and for the first time, her eyes weren't empty. They were searching, soft, questioning. I opened the door, heart pounding. She stepped out, unsure but determined. With trembling legs, she crossed the tiny room and rested her head in my lap. I couldn't hold back the tears. This broken, abandoned soul, this little creature who had no reason to trust, no reason to love, had chosen to let someone in. We sat there for what felt like hours, not moving, not speaking. Just the sound of her breath against my hand. It was the first time I felt her heartbeat through my fingertips. It was real. She was still here, still trying, still hoping. But the journey ahead was far from over. Because what came next would test every ounce of her strength, and ours. The days that followed were filled with slow victories and quiet determination. Mira's body was healing, but the emotional scars were deeper. She would still flinch at sudden movements, freeze at the sound of loud voices, and curl up tightly in corners if left alone for too long. Her spirit had been bruised, not broken, but it would take time. We introduced her to soft blankets, gentle hands, and calm voices. Each time we entered the room, we greeted her the same way. "Hi, Mira. It's okay. We're here." She started recognizing our voices, turning her head when we called. Her tail would twitch slightly. Not quite a wag, but a spark. A sign that the wall she had built around her heart was beginning to crack. One afternoon, as I sat cross-legged on the floor, Mira slowly made her way across the room. It took her nearly 5 minutes, each step careful, cautious, but she did it. She reached me and, without a sound, curled up beside me. Her body leaned into mine. I whispered, "You're safe now. No one's going to hurt you." A single tear rolled down my cheek as she exhaled, letting her body relax for the first time. That was the moment I knew she believed me. We wanted to help Mira see the world again. Not the cruel, harsh world she had known, but a world where love existed, where kindness was real. So once she had gained enough strength, we began taking her on short walks through the garden. At first, she wouldn't step out of the door. The leash frightened her. The outside sounds overwhelmed her senses. But we didn't rush her. "It's okay, baby. Take your time." And slowly, step by step, she did. First to the porch, then to the sidewalk, then a few steps down the street. The sun touched her face, and I swear for a second she smiled. Animals don't fake emotions. They don't pretend. Mira was feeling something she hadn't in a long time: peace. She met other rescue dogs at the center, many with their own stories of pain and survival. But Mira was different. While others barked or played, she observed. Quietly, thoughtfully, almost like she was reading everyone's souls. Then came Luna. Luna was a playful Labrador mix, full of energy and joy. She bounded into every room like a storm of sunshine. When she first saw Mira, she immediately ran over, sniffing and circling her. Mira froze. Her ears dropped. Her body trembled. "Luna, easy," I said, stepping in. But then something unexpected happened. Mira didn't run. She didn't hide. She simply looked at Luna, really looked, and then she licked her nose. It was the smallest gesture. But in that moment, Mira reached out. She let herself connect. From that day forward, the two were inseparable. They walked together, ate together, slept curled up beside one another. Luna became Mira's anchor, her reminder that joy was possible. And Mira, in her quiet grace, softened Luna's wild energy. One morning, I found them by the window. Mira sat tall, her fur glistening in the early light. Luna lay at her feet. Mira was looking outside, not with fear but curiosity. I sat beside her. "What are you thinking, sweetheart?" She turned to me, and in those eyes, those same eyes that once held only sorrow, I saw something that stopped me in my tracks. Love. Pure, unguarded, fearless love. She trusted us. Not just me or the staff, but life. The world. But life has a way of testing even the strongest hearts. One evening, during their walk, Luna was startled by a car that backfired nearby. She took off running, the leash slipping from my hand. Mira followed. Panic gripped me as I chased after them, calling out their names. Luna disappeared around a corner. Mira, still limping slightly, vanished moments later. For hours we searched. The sky grew dark. My voice grew hoarse. Every horrible thought ran through my mind. Had we failed her? Had the world let her down again? Then, just when hope was fading, my phone rang. "We found them," a neighbor said. "They're huddled together in our backyard. The little white one won't leave the big one's side." When I arrived, the sight broke me. Mira stood in front of Luna protectively, her body trembling but her eyes alert. She hadn't run to hide. She had run to find her friend. As I approached, she didn't flinch. She let me kneel down, wrap my arms around both of them. "You came back," I whispered. Her eyes met mine, and in them, I saw something deeper than I'd ever seen before. A choice. She had chosen love, chosen connection, chosen to live not in fear, but in faith. The road behind her was long, but what lay ahead would be even more extraordinary, because Mira was about to face her biggest challenge yet, learning to say goodbye. The sun was warm the morning we got the call. A family, a mother, her 2 daughters, and a wide backyard surrounded by trees. They had seen Mira's story online, her rescue, her recovery, her bond with Luna, and they wanted to meet her. "We lost our old dog last year," the mother said. "We weren't ready for another until we saw her eyes." My heart tightened. We knew this day would come. We had always hoped Mira would find a forever home. But letting go wasn't going to be easy. The girls arrived first, wide-eyed and gentle. They crouched down quietly, respecting Mira's space. Luna bounded out to greet them as usual, but Mira hung back, standing in the doorway unsure. "It's okay, sweetheart," I whispered, giving her a soft nudge. Slowly, she stepped forward. Her eyes studied the girls, cautious but not afraid. The younger one extended her hand and waited. Mira sniffed. Then, so delicately, she pressed her head into the girl's palm. I felt a tear slip down my cheek. It had taken months to build her trust, to help her see that love was safe. And now, she was sharing that gift with someone new. The next few days were filled with visits. Walks around the center. Quiet moments in the garden. Mira never left Luna's side. They ate together, slept together, moved as one. So when the family decided to adopt Mira, they asked the question we hadn't dared to hope for. "Can we adopt both?" My breath caught. "You want them together?" "Of course," the mother smiled. "They're soulmates. We couldn't separate them." That night, I sat with Mira one last time beneath the stars. Her head rested on my lap, Luna snuggled beside her. "You're going to be okay," I whispered. "You're going to be loved every single day." She looked up, her eyes soft, steady, unafraid. And I realized something. She had taught me far more than I had ever given her. She taught me about patience, about sitting in the silence until trust could bloom. She taught me about strength, not in noise or motion, but in stillness and survival. And most of all, she taught me about love. Real love. The kind that heals. The kind that chooses to try again, even after being broken. When the day came for her to leave, we didn't say goodbye. We said, "See you soon." Because Mira's story doesn't end here. It lives on in the hearts of every person she touched. In the laughter of the two little girls who now walk her every morning. In the joyful barks as she and Luna race through green fields without fear. And in the quiet moments when she rests her head against a chest and listens, not for danger, but for the sound of love. She came to us abandoned. She left us adored. And somewhere, right now, under a sunlit sky, her eyes are telling a new story. One filled with hope and home and healing. A miracle indeed. Mira, the dog who chose to love again.